Welcome then to Eurosport's coverage of this stage 5 of the Tour de France, Nogent-sur-Oise to Oise-Étoile. You saw on the map there that we've moved right up north of Paris for the start today, and the riders are heading to the Belgian border. Although the race is running due north and there was a bit of a headwind for them, they've been going at a cracking pace. The last we heard, they had been touching 49 kilometres per hour on this, the 5th stage of the race. And this is confirmation of the gap of that leading group of riders you're looking at now. They have a lead of 2 minutes and 38 seconds. They've just gone through Hedencourt. They've covered 123 kilometres of the 196 kilometres to be covered today. So by my quick mental arithmetic, we have about 73 kilometres to go, and Lotto on the front chasing down like crazy. They have to chase because in that leading group at the moment, there's not one of the Lotto team. And as far as Museo is concerned, they're going to be very close to Belgian border, close to where the supporters from that side of the country will be coming swarming down to see what's going on. But the break at the front, all of them working very well indeed, and you can just look at them now. We'll take you through those riders as they go on the front. First of all, we're just looking at Marsen for the Buckler team, peeling off the front. Then going through for Telecom, that's Jens Hepner. Then Steve Bauer on the far side for Motorola. Look at Steve go at this one too. Moving through next from the Amaya team is Vargas. And then over on the far side there, on his way through, we have Bontempi. A very, very strong man indeed. He's adding impetus to this, and whoops, he's going just a little bit too quick, and the Amaya rider can't quite hold his wheel. He came through a bit on the far side there. And the other members of that breakaway group, you've just seen the caption coming up. We'll pick them up for you as we look down in there. Just at the back of that pack at the moment. There's Ludwig in the Panasonic colours, and on his wheel is Konichév. And what a cracking group this one is. You've just had a quick look then at Bontempi as the Amaya rider, Vargas just drifting off the front of the break. So these 10 men have a lead then of something like about 2 minutes and 45 seconds. I didn't write it down last time, but they've been building it up all the way through. We've had action ever since we left Paris this morning. At the Motorola, cork in the bottle, blocking off any attacks coming by on either side of them, and Panasonic have joined in the act as well. But I can see RMO have had enough of this. They're coming around the outside now. They say, come on boys, we've got to sort this one out. Charlie wants a drink, or is he going to hand one up to one of his friends here? So Onse moving through on that interesting look frame they've got. Perhaps the camera goes back in there. There's a very new frame development with an unusual head style and what have you. We are Onse coming up again to put a whole row of pink jerseys in, like little flamingos, aren't they? Charlie wants a drink. In fact, no, he's passed one up. Charlie the water carrier, that's unusual. He must have been nipping back to have a word with his team manager and collected some bottles en route at the same time. They're back, see them on the down tube and the top tube. It's well over 20 degrees, and despite the fact that they're slightly drifting, a very slow small wind across their left shoulders, then it's not too cooling actually, so the riders are getting very thirsty today. The sun is not actually beating down, it's hanging around. There, a nice look at the yellow jersey, sat comfortably in the front of this group, out of harm's way. He has to keep away from where the crashes are. They usually happen towards the back end of the field. Having a chat with Van der Aarden for some reason. RMO back at work, as well they should be, sponsored by an employment agency. No doubt they've all been given their cards. Come on lads, it's time you went back to work. Let's stop these Motorolas having a bit of fun. Motorola, very much a communications company, and that's why they've been experimenting with these two-way radios. A lot of the officials are using the Motorola radio telephones. Tremendous difference today, the way in which information flows. If you look in some of the team cars and the officials' cars, you won't on earth have time to do anything else but answer the telephone or use the two-way radios, because you get radio tour, you get telephones to talk to other people, you've got different tours for the different radios for different people on different wavelengths, and tremendously well organised. Everything has to drop into place and fit together with a sort of like a jigsaw. It has to drop there with not a piece missing to make this thing happen. You can imagine yesterday, not only did they get the riders on the plane to fly them all the way up to Roissy on the north side of Paris, but as the riders got off the plane yesterday, they were all given a result sheet from the day's time trial. That was just showing how the organisation thought of every little thing they could do to help the riders and put them all with the information about what had gone on. Well, RMO, undoubtedly the number one team at the moment. RMO on a crescendo. By last year, the end last year, they got well over 100 victories, and the way they're going now, they'll be well on the way towards their 200th. But Charlie sitting low in the saddle on his Gitane bicycle. A close-up look at it. They switched bike manufacturers this year. They used to ride Liberia, which is the smallest company. They've now gone back to Gitane, who used to support the bikes in the old days, the Renault Elf team, when Fignon was riding, and Greg LeMond in the days when Renault was supported by the Gitane Bike Company. It's not the cigarette people, it's a bike company. And there they are. A long string again, so the moment of rest and relaxation is over and done with. They've had their 11s, or sorry, the mid-afternoon break. And that's the difference. Well, we saw momentarily the way in which Motorola had a bit of happiness, a happy hour on the front, but this is the sort of tactic we like to see all the way through towards the finish, because they've only probably got now something like about 40 kilometres to go. That's some 25 miles to go towards the finish. And the way they're travelling right now, they're going to do that, I'd have thought, in around about 50 minutes. So all you time trialists back at home, take a deep breath. Mind you, they are relaying each other, but you have to think now that this stage in the Tour de France, they've had some rough old riding so far, and this is stage 5 of the race. Ludwig going through. Big Olaf Ludwig. What a shame it was in some respects, I suppose, that Ludwig, we never saw him come across on the pro ranks faster when he was busy riding out as an amateur and winning all those record number of piece race stages. Bontempi here now for the Carrera team, who were very happy at dinner last night with the way that they put Chiappucci and Roche up there in the general classification into 3rd and 4th places. And Konichet coming through now onto the front, who I won't say winner by default. He had a tremendous sprint when he won last year, had a couple of stages of the Tour de France. That one on the Champs-Élysées is the one that all the top sprinters want to win, but of course when Abdul-Japarov decided to go and chew the tarmac, having tried first of all to demolish half the barriers up the Champs-Élysées and flatten himself all on the road in the process, Konichet took that one, but he undoubtedly is a very smooth, sharp sprinter. This fellow is too, Jalabert. Well, team managers keep coming up and a little chat to their riders, and I suppose at the moment all one can say to these lads is to keep it going until they get very much closer to the finish. They've all got to get stuck in and do what they can to keep the pace up. Good to see the Once team back in action again. They did well to defend the jersey of Zülle way back when we were down in San Sebastian, but since then they've found it a bit tough, but they're back up there with Jalabert. We're now back with the main group, and the last time check we had was still that this main group are 2 minutes and 15 seconds down. They've covered something like 156 or so kilometres, 196 kilometre race today, 40 Ks about left to go. And half the trouble when you're when you're going fast like this, you're trying to eat and drink on the road as well. Bit of a late start today, though, as far as the riders are concerned. It wasn't far to start. We haven't had a start at Nogent-sur-Oise, as far as my memory serves me. It's not far away from Compiègne, the start where the riders set off on the Paris-Roubaix, and in fact also Vasqual is very close to Roubaix. It's only about 5 kilometres down the road. close look up at Miguel Indurain. Thank you, Mr. Caption Generator Man. And also Capucci here in the polka dot jersey. He's got that one because he's actually second on the King of the Mountains. And the reason he got that one on, of course, is that Vorenk, who is leading on the King of the Mountains, also wears the green jersey, is leading on the points. There's Robert Mill on the right-hand side. And just easing himself off the saddle here, Marino Argentin. Lives in Monte Carlo. In fact, they're interviewing some of the riders because this is a sort of European tour. They're talking to some of them. I mean, like Argentin, who lives in Monte Carlo. They were saying, why does he do that? He said, well, he's certainly near to the airport. He can travel a lot. He's also near to Italy, where he races a lot as well. He just likes that part of the world. And yesterday they were talking to, or this morning, to Robert Miller, who, of course, lives about an hour and a half away from Paris, having forsaken Glasgow for many years now, and settled down with his wife. And Kitty, here we are, still RMO, all three, 33. That's Thierry Laurent on the far side, Eric Caritou, extremely good mountain climber indeed. And they're having to work hard on the flat. What's the gap? 3 minutes 10. Whoa, that slowing down of the Motorola has helped enormously, and they've got to pull back 3 minutes then in something around about less than 40 kilometres. That looks as if we might have the sprinters up in front saying that they've done enough to stay away, but this group are not eating into that deficit at all. It's gone back by nearly 1 clear minute from what it was before. So that's a significant cessation of activity. And the spectators being treated that fine side. These are not the roads that are used for the Paris-Roubaix. We've kept off the cobbles. It was deemed that the Hell of the North race is one off on its own, and that it wasn't fair to take the riders along those sort of routes when they're in a race which is going over 21 stages as such. And apart from that, the battering the cobbles would get by the camions, the big caravan up front, the enormous vehicles going over would just knock hell out of all the cobbles. So they're sort of preserving them now. In fact, they're trying to make the cobbles of the Tour de France a national monument so they can be preserved for posterity. There's quite a lot of action going on like that, because unfortunately each year a bit more of the pavé gets upended and more tarmac put down on it, but there's a whole movement to try and have them declared of historic interest. So we'll have to see the outcome of that one. Bauer on the front, Ludwig in second place. He just walked in and switched on the telly and said, let's watch the Tour de France. Let me then recap that group at the front. It is Jalabert, Hepner, Jim van der Leer, Steve Bauer, Guido Bontempi. Ken Gialta's in there, winner of a stage last year of the Tour de France. And on the front at the moment, Vargas, Konishev is there together with Ludwig and Martin. That's the 10-man break, who've got now a lead of well over 3 minutes. Bontempi moving through, then Jalabert going through, then Steve Bauer in the Motorola car. Looking back there, Marson, that's Jim van der Leer in the green. There's Konishev in the blue. There's Ken Gialta. There is Hepner in the pink and the white. So that's a quick rundown on these 10 riders who've got a lead of over 3 minutes on the main field. The front of this breakaway group, cheered on by a massive crowd here, turned out to see these riders go through, is Konishev for TVM, and Hepner going on to the front now. People who watched the Kellogg's Tour last year may remember he rode very strongly in that to finish 5th overall. It's Steve Bauer now on the front for Motorola. What a powerful man he is, and a couple of years ago when he went away on that first day of the Tour to take that yellow jersey, when the 4 riders got a lead of something like about 10 minutes, it frightened everybody to death, but eventually one by one they exchanged the jerseys. Well, actually Marston didn't get it. He was in that break with Bauer that day, with Capucci as well, and Pansek. We're looking back down the main group, 3:26. It's grown again. This gap really is opening up, not coming down. So I wonder if finally the main field have decided that they have had enough of this change. They've left RMO to do a lot of work. This is quite... maybe these are the tactics. Perhaps people... I mean, Lotto did a lot of work way back, if you came on there. Well, let's look at the blackboard, see if it agrees with what we were saying. And whoops. Oh, let's have a look at that one. Come on, Mr. Motorcycle, swing it round. We've seen Charlie, we haven't seen the blackboard, you see. as the rest of the field following the arrowhead formation there, as Indurain at the moment, I think smarting under his fact, he's dropped back to 6th place on general classification, 5 minutes 33 down, but of course all that can change when we get into the Alps, so RMO is going to be very happy indeed with the current state of play and the chance of keeping those yellow and those green jerseys, the King of the Mountains jersey. They've got a real hat-trick, and of course they're also leading on the best young rider competition as well. 36 riders, I think it is, in the under 25 and under competition this year. Lots of young men in. And the Tour de France has changed dramatically over the years I've been involved with it. When at one time you get Merckx and his men, or the TI Rally men, or the days when Hino was riding, you've got very predictable sort of racing going on, because the captains would slam down the brakes, organise their forces, and the racing, while still good and interesting and hard, was much more controlled than it is now. Now anything can happen, day in, day out. You're never quite sure what's going to happen. Nice looking down view at the Fiat car there through the sunshine roof. The mechanics stand up through that at time to time to see what's going on. Of course, it enables them to get up through the sunshine roof and to work on the bikes as well if the occasion needed. You go that side, I go that side. The spectators have gone from one side to the other. But the problem, they rush across like that, and the team cars have got to be careful they don't bump into anybody. Ardentan's having to find his way back into form, by the way, because apart from the crash he had earlier on this year, the problem at the moment, as far as Ardentan's concerned, is that about 7 days before the Tour started, he had an accident. He ran into a child while he was out training, and so he was knocked his knee up, and that hurt him somewhat. So the leading 10 riders here at the moment, and there we are, as Konashev has a quick word with his team manager. What a break they've got going here. And I think they're still all contributing, because he's come right towards the back of the field now, Konashev, and he, a moment ago when we had that top shot of him, he was on the front. So the every one of this group, even the Maya rider, is still helping out. So he's decided he's still got a bit of strength into his legs. So he has, but from time to time, looked at like being the less strong of the two. Oh, he's splitting again. Now, is this a real hard out attack, or have they just lost? That looks to me like we're going over where the high-speed train is going to go for the connection to the coast from Paris, and it's Bauer on the front. Hepner's with him at the moment. Well, that was a nifty move by Bauer. It just sort of happened. They drifted away off the front. It was one of those sliding things at the moment that took him away there. And so Bauer's gone away, still smarting, by the way, of that second place in the Paris-Roubaix in 1990, when he got pipped by no more than a centimetre by Plancart to the post in the track. So we're on familiar ground as far as Bauer is concerned, but running parallel to most of the Paris-Roubaix route they take, but they're not finishing in Roubaix. We're finishing at Valsquois, which is not very far away from Roubaix. Now, who's going to chase that down? That Bontempi moves on the front, and then Vargas behind him. Oh, they're pulling them back. I thought those two couldn't hope to stay away like that. They've just one of those things that drifted away, just happened almost by accident. So Bauer and Hepner, a little flurry on the front, but bringing him up at the moment is the Amaya rider, and so they're back in there. Well, that's how these things happen. Oscar de Jesus Vargas has got him back, and 20 kilometres left. Wow, give you some idea, doesn't it, how fast they've been going. 20 Ks, because they'll knock that lot out now in certainly half an hour to the finish. It'll be even less than that. So we're going to finish something like half an hour up on the fastest schedule, which was at 42 kilometres per hour. So they really have burnt up the tarmac today. All those attacks we've been having. If you just come in, let me recap and say that once we started the race this morning, and I'm sorry to bore you people who've already heard this information, but some people do switch on a bit late, that we've had battles all the way across the Sommers as riders went away after the start. Pedersen first to attack, got caught, then Neil Stevens. went away, and of all things, the Australian was hounded down by Anderson, another Australian with the Motorola team, brought him back. Pascal Richard got dropped, Rico Raulco got dropped, Grun got dropped and abandoned from the Telecom team, so they got some compensation getting Hepner away with this group at the moment. Breakaway Sciandri and Redance and Coverdo was pulled back at about 27 kilometres. Museau got the first sprint. There we are. That's confirmation. De Klerk and Diz the Bala were the second and third. See the time gap, time bonuses there, 6-4 and 2. And they're showing there that Jalabert, Maassen and Ludwig, that's the one I gave you, after 105 kilometres. The second of the sprints. And then we're looking down at Bontempi. The third sprint comes at 179.5 kilometres. So in fact, knocking 20 off that. Have I missed something, says he, looking at his thing here. We've gone through 20 kilometres to go. It's 16.5 kilometres from the finish. Will be the third sprint of the day at Villeneuve Dusk. So we've got one more sprint to come. Here up, sprinted in Villeneuve Dusk, 179.5. That's the one we're going to pick up next. And who from this little lot is going to get that sprint? Well, Jalabert got the last one. He is the rider in the pink. Let's watch the tactics here. Eyes down looking, pick your favourite, and perhaps it might be a dress rehearsal for the finish, which now is less than 20 kilometres away. They've definitely dropped the speed a little bit. You can see that. They've eased back slightly as they head in towards Vasqual. And so the riders have eased back a bit now for that sprint, the intermediate sprint. Don't forget Jalabert in the pink got one, so who's going to go for this one? The few seconds bonus will be reasonably useful, but that's not all important. It's the points they get towards that sprint award. And let's see who's working hard for this one. So we're only about a couple of kilometres to go, I suppose, from the sprint, if this and that. So no more than a couple of minutes, 2-3 minutes time, we should see these lot begin to unleash themselves. Hepner easing back, then Ludwig. Of course, when they've got 10 men like this taking it in turns, they're getting close to a sprint. They'll probably have to decide. Just 1,000 metres to go to this PMU sprint. And Konishev moving on the far side. Jalabert takes a swig from his bottle. They're still working well, so the sprint's going to be a final thing suddenly happening, I think, and the commissaire wants us to pull back a bit now so they can have a sprint as the other motorcyclists zoom through. We've gone up to helicopter on the far side. It's Bauer that's jumped away. Bauer's jumped away as our motorcycles drop back, so they have a clear run in towards the sprint. Bauer is right over the extreme right-hand side. Good move by Bauer. It looks like nobody's going to chase him down for this one. Bauer's decided to go for a long one, and it looks like he's going to get this one. Maassen isn't going to do anything about it at all. He's still got some way to go, though. Bauer getting right up against the greenery, and Konishev is after him. Konishev says, I'll do a few turns, somebody else come through. Jalabert halfway comes through. Still Bauer is dangling out there like the hare, and the greyhounds are after him. But Bauer hanging on then. They're closing that gap down. Quick look to see if he's still in there. And he can see the banner down the finishing straight as Jalabert starts to go up towards him. Jalabert it is who won the midway sprint, and Jalabert going across. So the rest of the little breakaway group don't seem to be concerned now. They're going to let it, and it's Bauer that takes it as Jalabert closes up, but too late. So Jalabert gets second because Bauer hit it line first and just left that a bit too late to Jalabert. And still Bauer then looking strong takes that PMU sprint. And I think they're going to ease back a bit now and wait the rest to come up to them. And the gap then, still, the last we heard, well over 3 minutes. So this could be the group that's going to sprint out for the final honours. And our Bauer and Jalabert going to persist with a little break they've got. I wouldn't have thought they're going to try and stay away at this stage. It's dead flat going in towards Valdequel, and no hills at all on the route today, and so there's nothing to break the rhythm. Barry's certainly working with Jalabert. Good shot down from a helicopter, and see the sun right over the top of them as well. We'll probably get helicopter shadow before long, beating away. Have to keep the helicopter up fairly well because we're getting in the town here, and you can't come down too close. The old helicopter can't go and swipe somebody's electricity pylons or nip somebody's washing as they go through. We have to be a certain height up, and here we go, way up again. And the other problem, of course, when well, there's a helicopter. I thought we'd see the shadow eventually. The producer must be listening to me. He said, right, we'll have a look at our helicopter. And there it is, one great shadow. 3, 6, now looks like they're all still there, the chasers. Well, we saw Bauer and Jalabert. We now got confirmation it was third then, and that was Hepner. I didn't think that they would want to push this one on. It's going to be, I think, for some way yet they've got to work together, and with 15 kilometres to go, Laraduta brought their truck out. That's naughty of them. Anyway, no, they're the big mail order company, one of the biggest mail order companies in Europe, who put a lot of money into the Paris-Roubaix. They're the main sponsors of that race, and here we are. This group certainly are the ones we're going to see batting it out to the finish. So come back after this break and let's see who win this stage of the race. That was won by Bauer some time back, so they're certainly out of contention now. There's no way that big group's going to get up to them, I wouldn't have thought. Shot through the following car to Bontempi. And there is the main group of riders. Still fairly compact, don't worry about those little breaks in there. And there must be great disappointment for the main sprinters like the GBMG boys, for Cipollini, and as far as Abdul Japarov is concerned, he won't be too worried that he's not contesting the sprint, because Bontempi is up there with him at the moment, and Bontempi was sprinting extremely well. He won stage 6 and stage 8 in the Tour of Italy this year, so Bontempi is getting a new lease of life. And pushing him through, well, there we're looking down, there's Indurain. He's actually had an accident. He's now back on his bike again, so that is why there are Indurain looking forward. He's had this crash, but that would be disappointing for him, for the rhythm. It looks a little bit as if he's got, I'm trying to see if his elbows are cut. They're not as such. And so there we are. Indurain, as I said earlier, has got the Spanish National Championship jersey adapted to suit the Benesto team jersey. I've been commenting on that in the past. You can see now much closer than what it was before, and that is disappointment. His jersey isn't ripped at all, so his fall must be one of those sort of gentle things. Perhaps he upended into a ditch. Camera going round here, so he looks okay. He's on his own bike anyway. So it must be one of those little... See all the Benesto team, they've taken him back up again, and he's going up to the front. You just get a touch of wheels. It's so easy in a bunch like that for somebody to have a moment distraction, touch a wheel, and down, bang, down you go. And so a simple fall very often, when you hardly go at any speed, you can crack your collarbone as well. And here we are, back again with Indurain. Benesto's all round about him at the moment, and that's Jean-Francois Bernard with him. And Maurizio Fondres, number 101, who's taking a free ride up on the back of the Benestos. And they're out the saddle, number 2, and that's Monge Marino Alonso. Number 3 on his back there again, Jean-Francois Bernard. Number 1 on his bike, on his back, Migo Indurain, winner last year of the Tour. Just going through, and Fabrice Philippot. They're driving him back up to the front. They're taking the left-hand side, clearing the way through. Every one of the Benesto is in this group, getting him up back near the front again. We're looking over the shoulders to see him come through. and they're getting him back out of trouble because he just cannot afford to lose any seconds at all on his main rivals, because Chiappucci this morning and Bugno were ahead of Indurain together with Roche. If you haven't caught up with all the details as that chase goes through at the moment, let me tell you that Bugno is third at 5 minutes 6. Chiappucci is in fourth at 5:20. Roche is in fifth at 5:28. So in fact there's just 14 seconds between Bugno and Chiappucci, just 8 seconds between Chiappucci and Roche, and Indurain is just some 5 seconds down on Stephen Roche. They're all closely packed together. That's why they've got to get Indurain back up near the front so that no more splits come and he doesn't lose any time. So the riders there wanging around now. This stage then 186 kilometres, just 10 to go on this stage from Nogent-sur-Oise to Pasquale, and the 10 men in this leading group, 10 kilometres to go. They're certainly not going to get caught by the main bunch, and we have some information that Rondon is down injured, so he was one who came down in that crash that delayed Indurain. We don't know the extent of his injuries at the moment. Abelardo Rondon used to ride with the Benesto team. He's now switched to Gatorade Chateau Dax under the team manager Gianluigi Stanga, the team that has got Gianni Bugno, and it's yet again Bauer is really riding his guts out for this one today, and he keeps going away at the front and riding off the front. He went for that sprint before, he's tried a long one, a bit of a breaker. Ken Gialta's gone with him as well, and Ken Gialta's stage winner last year in the Tour, and there we go now with just 10 kilometres to go. So Ken Gialta, who won the stage Saint-Gaudens to Castres last year, when he came in ahead of Jean-Claude Colotti and Marco Giovanetti, is with Steve Bauer. That was when the Eurosport team did the triple, because Argentin won the next stage, and then Marco Lietti won the stage after that one. That's where we got into the Alps as such, and the Eurosport got 3 on the trot. So we've got 2 useful sprinters here. Steve Bauer, real roll call of honour. He's won things like the Championship of Zurich, and he's also won the Canadian Tire International Pro Sprint Champion last year, which just shows he can certainly roll when he has to go. He's won stages in the Tour of Switzerland. He finished second overall in that. He was second in the World Champs in 1980, fourth in 88 in the Tour de France, 15th in 89. So he's got a tremendous depth of talent, courage and experience. So that is our little breakaway group now. We're going to take a short break, come back for more action in the Tour de France. Two riders who slipped the net of the 10-man break. 8 are behind, a little gap opening up. The lead for the breakaway group, something like 2 minutes on the main field. We're well inside 10 kilometres to go. Bauer has decided that he won't throw his lot in with a sprint when he got people like Olav Ludwig in there. Slipped off away from that group, and Ken Gialta has chosen the opportunity to go with him as well. I think that's a nice move, and it certainly is breaking things up behind them as Marsen had to go, and he's taken Ludwig with him. So it's 2-man time trialling at the moment, Ludwig and Marsen. Now there's a fair big combination, and coming across very quickly indeed. Conichet, very, very nifty peddler indeed, Conichet, straight across that gap, and there he is on to the wheels. So I think, in fact, the attempts by Ken Gialta and Bauer are going to come to nothing as Conichet comes up very quickly indeed. And there's Olav Ludwig and Marsen back to Bontempi, Hepner and Vargas, Jalabert and Jim van der Leer. Well, I think we're going to see a bit more of that before we get to the end of the race today, but a lot of people tipping Ludwig as to be. I'm just looking at Mr. Brian Montgomery. Yes, he said Ludwig. He's got him down on his tip to win at the moment. Well, that's the fellow down there in the Panasonic colours, the red, yellow, and blue. I suppose of all this lot, he's got the greatest number of successes ever when it comes to sprinting, and in the peace race, then that is certainly one that I say if he only had turned professional earlier, we might have seen him win a lot more of the pro races. But right now he's leading on the World Cup. He won the Amstel Gold Out in Ireland last year, he won a couple of stages in the Nissan Pro Tour as well. He's won stage race in just about every of the major race he rides in. He wins a stage. Took the green jersey in the Tour de France a couple of years ago. And of course, he is the reigning Olympic champion. He can't ride the Olympics this year as a pro. There is some talk by the time we get to the Olympics in another 4 years' time, they might in fact be able to select pro riders for the Olympics. And if that happens, well, I think Ludwig will be probably a bit too old then to go for. He's actually now 32 years of age. So he will be 36 by the time the Olympics come round if the pros are allowed to ride, and I don't think probably he would make the team then. And off goes Bontempi on the far side. Man who's lost quite a bit of weight has Guido Bontempi, 6-day rider, still an expert sprinter. You don't win 2 stages like he's done this year in the Tour of Italy to add to his enormously fantastic range of successes, unless you are very, very quick indeed. And remember, he won those 2 stages in the Tour of Italy this year against people like Abdul Jafarov and Cipollini, though of course in the Tour of Italy, Abdul Jafarov, who rides for the same team, wouldn't be worried about that at all. Bontempi used to be his lead-out man, but Bontempi's found a new lease of life now and is determined, I think, to add yet again a stage in the Tour de France to his great list of successes. More jumping across to see if they can break this one up. And it is still Bontempi. We're just 5 kilometres to go. That's 3 miles of flat-out action, and another rider coming across. We're going to see, I think, a lot of Hepner it is. Yeah, I'd rather thought Bontempi, Hepner, Bauer, although Bauer's got a furious sprint, I think they're all scared of Ludwig. He's got to be the man that everybody here is trying to get off. And I would have thought, if I was Jalabert, the tactics, because Jalabert's a good sprinter too, would be to sit on Ludwig's wheel and hope that Ludwig will stay in contention, whereas one or 2 other riders are saying, to hell with that, let's go for a long one. And Bontempi here is really winding it up, the career rider, chopping and that's a nice little whiz in and out. That'll slow down the chase behind him. Good bit of bike handling by Bontempi. He's opened up quite a useful gap, and nobody behind seems to be chasing him down. That is a great move, and look at it, the gap has opened up. Oh! Guido, with all that strength, experience and courage, trying to add a stage in this year's Tour de France to this year's Tour of Italy. It looks like he's rolling along so comfortably, but I tell you, he's just absolutely now at 110%. Pushing an enormous gear along, but still making it roll quite comfortably. And I make that about 12 seconds, the gap between him and Hepner, who doesn't quite know whether he should persist in this one. He's in no man's land at the moment. That 10 seconds could be vital then for Guido Bontempi, who's shook him off now. Well, he had 4 successes as well last year, won a stage in the Tour of Spain, stage in the Tour of Luxembourg, and he's out there at the moment then. This could be significant. Nobody behind wants to chase him down. He will be absolutely exhausted. If they do get up to him, he won't have much left. Look, he's got the little sprocket going at the back and the big chain ring. He's on about 52 by 13. Might even be 52 by 12, but certainly the big one's going. I think 52 by 13 here. And he's pushing it round like it was a very small gear indeed. Look at this. Oh, you can feel it, can't you? Oh, Guido, hey, this is terrific challenge to go away. 3 kilometres left. He's been on his own for 2 complete kilometres. He's got a lead. Last we had a check of something round about 12 seconds. That may not seem a lot, but only in 3 kilometres to go, it means they've got about 4 seconds per kilometre to pull him back, and that takes some doing. They'll have to work together to come up to him. Hepner, I think, will look back and try and coordinate the... oh, that is tremendous. That is more now than 12 seconds. There they come. They've recognised the danger. They were looking to see who's gone because he slipped away so quickly. They've had a couple of quick left-hand turns, right-hand turns, and he took those twists through the central reservation, which took him out of sight. And so they've really got to start getting their act together here. And that's Connie Shave, I think, who's gone away. A long shot here on our camera, slightly blurred from our point of view, but I think it's Connie Shave who's got another useful long turn of speed. Bauer, who tried earlier on, must be a little bit cooked at the moment, and I think he's probably going to get his breath back and leave someone else. Now, Marsens is a man, stage winner in the Tour, who would like to add his name to this little lot as well, but look at this, they're easing back. There's nobody keep going through. He's playing right into the hands of Guido Bontempi because nobody here wants to take up the chase. They'll lose a chance of getting this success on this stage in the Vasqual, where Neidham was winner last time where he came here, and the time before that Sean Yates set the record-breaking time in a time trial when he won the stage there. But it's the time trial par excellence here for Guido Bontempi with 2 kilometres to go. There's every chance that he can hang on to this one. The crowd are applauding his effort. This was sheer courage by Guido Bontempi, who put everything in to getting away just before the 5 kilometre point. So the bunch behind, they've got to coordinate their attack. The hands are coming, clapping together. The wave of sound encouraging Guido Bontempi to push his pedals around even faster. And we're back with the remainder of that 10-man group at the moment. So Bontempi away there. Here he is, back with him again. How many 32-year-olds watching this programme would be like to pedaling their bike like this man is doing now at just close on 30 miles an hour at the end of a stage that's taken them at a record-breaking, almost record-breaking speed. They've actually now coming up towards the finish. They weren't timed to finish until 10 past 5 Central European time. They're going to be finishing close on 20 to 5. 1 kilometre to go for this man here. They've been averaging somewhere around about 48 kilometres per hour for the race today. That's about 27 miles an hour, and there's 1 kilometre left for Guido Bontempi, and the chasers are only just coming up into sight. Bontempi has about a minute and a few seconds to put his name yet again in the history books as a stage winner in the Tour de France. To add to the 2 he's got in the Giro d'Italia this year, he's absolutely searching down into his body for the last bit of strength he can get to keep the speed going. He's concentrating, he can see the finish. He daren't look back, but he is going to do so. He can't see past the cars. That's a bit disappointing. It broke his rhythm. But if they're that close, he must know then that the followers aren't close, because they wouldn't allow the cars to be that close if the followers are coming up at him. And the Finnish crowd now have risen to their feet, and they're clapping home this courageous ride by the career rider who's going to cross the line and win the stage from Nogent-sur-Oise to Vasqual. Absolutely elated with that one. 196 kilometres. He got away in the final 5 kilometres to take victory, and Connie Shave, who prized himself away from that remaining group of 9 men, is going to take second place. Comfortable ride. Hepner must be kicking himself now that he's back. This man then, the one, as I say, took the finish of the Champs-Élysées last year, and previously won a couple of stages in the Tour, but there we are. He's going to be content now with the second place. 30 seconds in a lap. Just shows you how fast Bontempi went as Ludwig on the front flashes across the line just ahead of Jalabert, Kengyalter, then Jim van der Leer, who was in there as well, and Bauer just a little bit off the pace behind Marsen, and the Amaya rider was last across the line. Well, sorry about the problems with the picture then, but we're trying to get a close-up of Guido Bontempi, who now is gasping for breath and absolutely exhausted. Well, Carrera must be very happy with this one, because Chiappucci is lying 4th overall on general classification. Roche is lying 5th overall on general classification. Steve Bauer, in fact, was 6 minutes 12 seconds down, the best placed man in that breakaway group. So Steve at the moment will have to watch the clock down there, because Bauer's going to leap up, by the way, because Steve Bauer was only 1 minute and 6 seconds behind Bugno on general classification. So if more than a minute and 6 seconds elapses before the finish, and I think it's going to be, Steve Bauer could find himself up into 3rd place for Motorola. So whilst he was trying to win the stage, Steve probably doesn't realise that he might in fact be getting up into technically a podium place by being in 3rd spot behind Lino and Varank from RMO, who are still in this group here. and so they certainly will keep that jersey. Museo's moved forward. His Lotto team are bringing him in because although 10 men have gone across the line, there are still useful points in the sprint for the green jersey, which currently is held by Varank. I don't think Varank will contest the sprint for the green jersey. He'll want to keep out of trouble, I think, to maintain his second place overall. But there aren't a lot of points at stake, not so many when you get down for the 11th, 12th and 13th place, but still Museo will snaffle as many of those as he possibly can do, and that's why he's got the Lotto team on the front. Well, it's certainly going to be over a minute. Something like 2 minutes will elapse then before the this group comes in. That was what it was the last time we saw it. So Bauer is going to go up as well. Hepner was 7 minutes 33 down, so he is likely to improve to 5:33. Hepner will find himself up in the top 10 as well, I would have thought. Bauer could be in third place overall. So another day of drama in the Tour de France. Not only with that brilliant win by Bontempi, but the fact that we're getting a bit of a shuttling of the cards in the top 10 places. Look at the speed of this bunch. There we go. Let's see the lead out again from Lotto. Peter Peters has got onto the wheel of Museo. They've done this before. And sneaking over the left-hand side, Jelle Nydam's coming down this side of the road. Nydam's coming in very quick indeed. Past winner in Vasquez, but he's not going to win the stage this time. Can he get the 11th place? Is over on the far side then. Museo unleashes his famous sprint. Whoops, and I think Museo got that one. Yep, that looked it from where we were. Van der Aarden just closing up alongside him, looking down in there for the rest of the riders coming in to finish. There'll be elation then in the Carrera camp, I'm sure about that. So here he comes, Bontempi. Slow motion, action replay of a fine career. I mean, he comes into race, 32 years of age, really to support Abdul Japarov as the man to get the stay, but Bontempi won that one. On the victory rostrum then, the winner of today's stage, Guido Bontempi. Look at that for recovery, by the way. He's there having his share of the kisses. Well, at 32 years of age, I suppose you've got to get every one you can get. And I also know I'm well past that. Who said nearly double? Get off. And so the applause from this crowd who loved that sporting performance by this very likeable Italian.
Au commerce extérieur, donc félicite Guido Bontempi, pas de problème d'échange donc avec.
Oh, he's passing off the coke. He wants to wave to it. Puts his arm up. That's it. The ceremonial wave, and the main group will be in now, and we'll be having up on the rostrum, I'm sure, the yellow jersey. So the action replay yet again of his moment of triumph, making himself nice and neat and tidy for his sponsor, and that's it then. So Bontempi gets that one. Well, that was a surprise turn up for the books. Everybody was looking for Abdul Japarov and thinking also that it might have been Cipollini, but it certainly wasn't this time. It was Bontempi, and that was quite a good one. Well, that's the coming towards the end of the day's activities, and we've got up on the victory rostrum then Pasqualino, this young rider who is still in the yellow jersey. He hasn't lost any time on his main contestants for that jersey, really, because although Bauer will have gone up into third place, I'm pretty sure of that, and Hepner's moved up into the top 10, they wouldn't threaten this, that I don't think, with all due respect to them, but the big men are still there at the moment. So tomorrow we're going to have the stage from Roubaix, and we're finishing in Brussels of all things, by the way, so Roubaix will be a start rather than the finish of a race, and then running off across into Brussels, and that's going to bring the whole of the town to a halt, I'm certain about that. But this is because it's the EEC Tour. Although it's the Tour de France, they decided to pull in all the various countries that butt on to France, and so we now tomorrow we'll be off into Belgium, then we duck down into Holland, we cross over to Luxembourg, then into Germany, coming back into France, briefly into Italy, and then back round to finish in Paris. So a truly international tour that started in Spain, and the tomorrow the sprinters, I think, will want to see very carefully that the same thing didn't happen today. When I say sprinters, there you're looking at three of the greatest, Bontempi, Koniceva and Ludwig and Jalabert, all great sprinters indeed, but the one that was missing out of that, Cipollini, and the other one, Abdul-Japarov, must really be saying, what have we got to do? Well, certainly Abdul-Japarov couldn't chase that one down when he got Bontempi away, so I think the team will be very happy with that tonight, that result. Another one for the career squad. The atmosphere is very good in the career squad. I remember last night at dinner they seemed a very cheerful bunch of blokes, having ridden an extremely good team time trial. They were the fastest team at 19 kilometres, fastest team at 41 kilometres at the time trial yesterday, with Bontempi doing a lot of work in that one, and they finished in second spot. So they did a great ride yesterday, career. They've now done a great performance today, and there's a win for Bontempi. So for myself, David Duffield, the Eurosport team on the Tour de France, time for us to say bye-bye. Come back tomorrow. Et il fait plaisir à toute la France et bien entendu à son département, le Var.